Darren Moore. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Neurodegenerative Science at Van Andel Institute. Like everybody else, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on our professional lives, but like everyone else, I'm learning to work at home and be productive. And luckily, my lab contains a dedicated team of people that have kind of made this work and safe for our institute and the environment. So we're continuing to be productive and make discoveries every day. So as many of you probably know, my lab works on the genetic basis of Parkinson's disease, and what we're really interested in is trying to understand how certain genes can contribute to the death of neurons in the brain. In particular, one kind of special gene that we work on is called leucine-rich repeat kinase 2, so the LOCK2 as we call it, the LOCK2 gene. This gene is the most commonly mutated gene in Parkinson's, but also contributes to the disease in general. So finding new ways of turning this gene off in different model systems is actually one of our goals, to develop therapeutic inhibitors that might be useful for Parkinson's. And along those lines, one of the things I'm most excited about is that we've been working on this LOCK2 gene for over 16 years now, since it was first discovered. And we've discovered, kind of uncovered quite a few aspects of its function and the way it actually goes wrong in Parkinson's. And now LOCK2 inhibitors that should be therapeutic for Parkinson's disease are actually in phase 1b clinical trials. And so I'm most hopeful and excited that some of the research we've been doing over the years to get to this point has now finally made its way into patients, and hopefully we'll have a major impact there. So philanthropy is of major importance to Parkinson's research, but also all research in general. And, it really has a pivotal role to play in supplementing and complementing funding from the National Institutes of Health, which is, to be honest, is never enough, and, allows us to achieve more than we would otherwise be able to. Philanthropy plays a specific role in really allowing us to do two types of research: that which is kind of high risk, that the National Institutes of Health wouldn't normally fund, and also some studies which are, less attractive and maybe, not quite as exciting, but nevertheless of fundamental importance for moving our research along. And again, I think philanthropy plays a key role in funding both types of research. So thank you, everybody, and I hope to catch up with you all at Winterfest this year.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rita Guerreiro. I'm an associate professor and a neurogeneticist in the Department of Neurodegenerative Science. I've joined the Van Andel Institute right at the end of 2018, after spending 8 years at University College London in the UK. And I've had a wonderful time here in Grand Rapids, even if living through a pandemic for half of this time. Even though we haven't been able to be together and work as a research group for a while, as we did before COVID, I think we've managed to find creative ways to stay in touch and move our research forward. My research involves the genetic study of samples from people living with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. COVID has made it challenging to collect this type of samples, for example, but it has also highlighted the urgency in the work that we do. In addition to the relentless neurodegenerative progression that is typical of dementia and that always leads to death, we now know that patients with dementia have an increased risk of developing COVID. We need to fully understand the biological processes involved in Alzheimer's disease and other dementias to be able to develop therapies and to protect these patients. Genetic studies are the very first step in this journey. So we are very fortunate to work in an institute that has such a strong support from philanthropy. The funds from this support are used in many different ways, from essential equipment to cutting-edge projects. But it is also crucial for us researchers to know that our work is valued and that the community around us understands the importance of what we do. So, and I think most importantly, I want to say thank you to you all who continue to support our work.
Hi everyone, my name is José Braz and I'm an associate professor at the Van Andel Institute in the Department for Neurodegenerative Sciences. Our lab focuses on human genetics of neurodegenerative diseases, and I'm personally interested in the overlap between Parkinson's disease and dementia. Over the last year, the COVID pandemic has really changed how we were able to work in the lab. Most of our group has been working from home for this period with just a couple of people coming in when lab work has been essential to allow us to progress, but mostly working remotely. And this means that we haven't been able to be as productive as we thought we would be in 2020. There are also other effects of the pandemic in our group. One of the important ones is that we haven't been able to recruit scientists to our group as we thought we would be before the pandemic hit. In any case, we've been progressing in our science over the past year. Our studies in the genetics of dementia with Lewy bodies have advanced nicely. We're preparing a publication that details the world's largest collection of dementia with Lewy bodies patients and the effects of genetics in this disease. And also the fact that we've been able to continue to work through this pandemic as well as the increasing availability of COVID vaccines has really been giving us hope for the future. An important thing that I think is going to come out of this period is that we as a community, the scientific community, will be much more attentive to better ways that we might have of working together that have really stemmed from the difficulties we've had during this difficult pandemic time. Philanthropy, just a couple of words on philanthropy. It has always played an important role in our work at Van Andel Institute. Right now, as it's more difficult to generate preliminary data to apply for federal grants, philanthropy is even more important because it allows us to do those high-risk projects that would otherwise be very difficult to get funding for. And so I would like to thank you for your support throughout the years, and particularly your support during this difficult period that we're going through.
Hello, I'm Mike Henderson, and I lead the Henderson Lab in the Department of Neurodegenerative Science. In early 2020, as I was interviewing at Van Andel Institute, I was excited for the amazing adventure I was about to embark upon. I planned out the next 6 months of research so that I would be prepared to transition to VAI in August. Then, my university shut down for 3 months, and I, like many others, worked from home. I may not have done all the experiments I had planned, but those 3 months provided me the opportunity to get to know researchers at VAI early through virtual meetings. I also finished up writing my research and began recruiting researchers to my lab. By the time I arrived physically in August, the lab was ready to roll. The lab is now growing, and we're moving forward with projects aimed at understanding pathways that are disrupted in Parkinson's disease, mapping out how disease pathologies progress through the brain, and testing therapeutics for their ability to modify disease markers in preclinical trials. This is an exciting time for my lab and for Parkinson's disease research in general. The treatments that are currently moving through clinical trials for Parkinson's disease modification are based on years of basic science research and hold great potential for treatments of patients living with Parkinson's disease. Being at VAI, I fully appreciate the role that philanthropy has in bridging the gap between basic science research and clinical treatments and bringing innovation and creativity to the forefront of research.
My name is Jerry Coetzee. The previous year has been difficult, but it gave me an opportunity to address issues previously left unattended. The Coetzee Lab is interested in genomic mechanisms governing risk of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's diseases. We follow up on genome-wide association studies that identified tens of genetic loci that impinge on the risk for the two diseases, of which gene regulation is a major part. Our recent exciting findings point to these risk loci already impinging the risk early in brain development. Finally, we are also interested in how genomic differences in the two brain hemispheres result in lateralization of PD and AD symptoms.
Good evening. My name is Lena Brandin, and I'm a professor at Van Andel Institute. Since the last time we had our Winterfest, 1 year has passed and much has changed. We have all been living through very strange times that we could never imagine a year ago. And for me and my lab, we have worked through many challenges, and we have found new research projects that we're working on, where we study the effects of COVID-19 on the brain and how this virus could affect mental health and be related to neurodegeneration. Over the coming year, we will expand this research together with additional projects where we analyze the effects of other bacteria and viruses on the brain. It gives me hope for the future to see how resilient the staff and faculty at the Institute have been over the past year, and it also gives me hope to see you all here again, resilient in our common interest to fight neurodegenerative disease. Philanthropy means so much for us because it enables us to start up innovative new projects and test ideas that could never be tested otherwise, because the large funding organizations require so much data before actually giving grants out. And our research projects on pathogens in Parkinson's disease, for example, could never have been done without philanthropic support. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Hello everyone, my name is Hongyuan Chu, and I'm assistant professor in the Department of Neurodegenerative Science at the Van Andel Institute. My research focuses on how Parkinson's disease alters our normal brain function and how brain dysfunction leads to a variety of symptoms in people with Parkinson's disease. The outbreak of COVID has dramatically affected our research activity. Particularly, it limits our access to research resources at the Van Andel Institute and makes it super challenging to hire new people. Many thanks to the support from the philanthropy, which allows us to retain our existing highly skilled research staff and get the new people and give them the best training. I think the stable and secured research environment at VAI, even on COVID, giving me the hope for the future of the research in Parkinson's disease. Many thanks, and I wish you the best of 2021.